Shattok a beautiful love, a terrible crime. The first time Margot saw him, he was stealing her bicycle. It was a Thursday morning in Prague, that golden hour when autumn light turns the cobblestones to honey. She'd stopped at a flower stall in the old town square, debating between dahlias and chrysanthemums, when she noticed a man in a worn leather jacket examining her vintage favorite bicycle, the one with the wicker basket and hand-painted forget-me-nots on the frame. "That's mine," she called out in Czech, then English, then finally the broken German that seemed to be their only common language. He looked up, and she saw his eyes were the color of smoke. "I know," he said simply. "It's beautiful, like you." Any sensible person would have called the police. Instead, Margot laughed. His name was Luca, and he wasn't really a thief, or so he claimed over coffee that stretched into lunch, then dinner, then a midnight walk along the Vltava, where he finally confessed. He was an art recovery specialist, tracking a stolen Klimt drawing that had surfaced in Prague after decades. The bicycle? Misunderstanding. He'd thought it belonged to someone else, someone connected to his case. "You expect me to believe that?" Margot asked, though she was already believing it, already falling. "No," he admitted, his smile crooked in the lamplight. "But I expect you to give me another chance to prove I'm not entirely without redemption." She did. Over the following weeks, Luca taught her to see Prague as he did, a city of secrets and hidden courtyards, of churches with crypts that held more than bones, of galleries where every painting had a shadow history. He moved through the world like someone reading a book only he could see, finding connections between a stolen medieval manuscript and a cafe owner's grandfather, between Nazi plunder and a locked room in the National Gallery. Margot, a translator of poetry, showed him a different kind of beauty. Rilke read aloud in German at dawn, the way certain Czech words had no English equivalent, how a single line could contain an entire lifetime. They were opposite in every way that mattered, and perfectly matched in every way that didn't. "Come with me to Vienna," he said one November evening, rain streaking the windows of her apartment. "I'm close to finding it, to Klimt. I can feel it." She went. She would have followed him anywhere by then. Vienna was a maze of elegant facades and deeper shadows. Luca's contacts operated in the margins. Auction houses that asked no questions, collectors who kept their prizes in vaults, dealers who trafficked in histories that were not theirs to sell. And there, in a private gallery in the 7th district, behind a false wall Luca somehow knew to look for, they found it. The drawing was smaller than Margot expected, just a woman's face rendered in gold leaf and charcoal, but it seemed to pulse with captured light. Luca photographed it, documented it, made the calls he needed to make. The authorities would be there by morning. But something was wrong. Margot saw it in the tightness around his eyes, the way his hands shook as he rolled the drawing back into its protective sleeve. "Luca?" "I'm sorry," he whispered. The truth spilled out in fragments. He wasn't just recovering the Klimt. He'd been hired to steal it, to replace it with a forgery before the authorities arrived. The recovery story was cover. The real client was a Russian oligarch who'd paid handsomely for the original, and Luca owed debts he couldn't refuse, debts that had driven him into darker corners than he'd ever intended to go. "I thought I could do both," he said, voice breaking. "Keep you, keep myself, get out clean. But there is no clean. There never was." Margot felt something shatter inside her chest. So everything was a lie? Prague? The bicycle? Me? No. He reached for her and she stepped back. "Margot, everything with you was the only true thing. That's why I can't do it. I can't take this drawing. But if I don't, they'll come after me. After us." The rain hammered against the gallery windows. In the distance, sirens began to wail. She could have left him there. Should have. But Margot understood in that moment something about love that no poem had ever quite captured. It doesn't make you better, doesn't redeem anyone, doesn't fix what's broken. It just makes you choose again and again, knowing the cost. "Then we run," she said. They left the Klimt where it belonged. They left Vienna on a night train with borrowed money and nothing but each other. The authorities recovered the drawing. Luca's clients raged into the void, and somewhere in all of that chaos, 2 people disappeared. Years later, in a small coastal town in Portugal, a woman with paint-stained hands and a man who repairs boats will sometimes walk along the harbor at sunset. They've built a life from small, honest things, her translations, his woodwork, a garden where forget-me-nots bloom wild. The terrible crime wasn't the theft or the lie. It was loving someone enough to choose them over everything you thought you were, and discovering that sometimes, improbably, that choice doesn't destroy you. Sometimes it saves you both.